You know, when we picture ancient empires, our minds usually fill with noise, right? The crack of a whip building the pyramids, the clash of swords on a battlefield, the roar of a king carving his name into a mountain. But what if one of the greatest empires of the ancient world was silent? What if it left behind no palaces, no war records, and a message we still, to this day, can't read? Well, that's the incredible mystery of the Indus Valley civilization.
So we're talking about the Indus Valley civilization, often called the Harappans. For 1,000 years, they didn't just survive, they thrived. But instead of leaving behind statues of arrogant kings, they left us evidence of an incredibly high standard of living for the average person. Think about it. No grand palaces, but practically every house had its own bathroom. No victory monuments celebrating battles, but they had complex underground sewer systems. This was an empire built on order and peace, not on conquest and ego.
And look, this wasn't some tiny, isolated culture we're talking about. At its absolute peak, the Indus Valley civilization was bigger than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia put together. A colossal, organized, urban society. And yet, it's still the most mysterious of all the ancient world's superpowers. Our story really starts to come together in the here and now, in the dust of northern India. We're at the excavation site of Rocky Kari, and this is the largest known city of the Indus people. Here, archaeologists like Dr. Aranya Sharma are literally digging up the secrets of a society that was absolutely obsessed with precision. I mean, just look at their bricks. The consistency is just mind-boggling. Every single baked brick they've uncovered has this exact same 4:2:1 ratio of length, width, and thickness. And this wasn't just in one city. This was the standard across an area the size of Western Europe. Can you even imagine that level of centralized planning and cooperation 4,500 years ago? It's incredible. And their genius wasn't just in what they built up, it was in what they built down. It was all underground. Every single house was connected to a covered, citywide sewer system, engineered with a perfect gradient to make sure everything kept flowing. The Romans would brag about this exact technology 2,000 years later. The Harappans were absolute masters of public health and urban engineering. Okay, so with all this sophistication, you'd think we'd be finding tombs packed with gold or giant statues of gods and kings, right? But as Dr. Sharma is carefully, painstakingly working, her trowel hits something. It's small, it's hard, but it's not a jewel, and it's definitely not a weapon. It's this, a little square of soapstone, no bigger than a postage stamp. It's an Indus seal. And this one is special. It has this powerful image of a rhinoceros, but floating above it is an unusually long string of line symbols from their script, a script that no one on Earth can read. It's a message, locked away in stone for 4 millennia. Now, to really understand this little seal, let's just go back in time. Let's travel to the moment it was made. It's 1900 BCE. A master carver named Apani is sitting on his rooftop, right here in this city, Rocky Gardi. And below him, the streets are humming, not with soldiers marching, but with merchants, artisans, and families. This is the world that created that tiny masterpiece. Ani's world was probably governed by a council, by consensus, not by some all-powerful tyrant. The most important public buildings weren't palaces. They were giant granaries, making sure that nobody went hungry. The society was built around trade, farming, and a deep commitment to the community. And right now, Ani is carving this very seal for a merchant who's about to send a shipment of goods all the way to Mesopotamia. Okay, flash forward to today. Back in her lab, Dr. Sharma is looking at high-resolution scans of the seal. It's an absolutely stunning artifact, but it also represents one of the biggest challenges in all of archaeology. It's written in a language we simply cannot read. And here's the heart of the problem. We have never, ever found a Rosetta Stone for the Indus script. There's no artifact with a known language written right next to these symbols to give us the key. And without that bilingual text, without that key, their voices, their stories, they're completely locked away from us. But we're not totally in the dark. We figured out a few things. First, mathematical analysis proves the symbols follow a real pattern. It's a genuine language, not just random pictures. Second, we're pretty sure it was written from right to left because the symbols often get all squished up on the left-hand side, like someone running out of space as they write. And the leading theory? These seals were basically administrative tools, ancient barcodes pressed into clay to label cargo. So, this quiet, orderly, brilliant world, it didn't last forever. For decades, the going theory was that some invading army just swept in and wiped them out. But the skeletons they've found in the ruins, they tell a very different story. There are no signs of battle, no sword marks on the bones. The enemy wasn't an army. It was something way more powerful. The real killer was climate change. Starting around 1900 BCE, the monsoons, the predictable summer rains that were the lifeblood of their entire society, they just started to fail. The Great Saraswati River, which fed their biggest cities, started to dry up. It wasn't a sudden apocalypse. It was a slow, agonizing collapse that stretched over hundreds of years. You see, it was this catastrophic 1-2 punch. Deep underground, tectonic shifts actually moved the Himalayan glaciers that were feeding their main river. And at the exact same time, a global climate event was weakening the rains. The fertile plains they depended on just turned to dust, and the very foundation of their civilization crumbled beneath their feet. Let's just picture Ajani's descendant for a second. Let's call her Tara, living a century later. The giant granaries are empty. The trade routes have collapsed. There was no Great War, just a slow, heartbreaking exodus. People were just leaving the dying cities, trying to find smaller farming villages that could still survive. Their complex urban world was literally melting back into the earth. As Tara's family gets ready to leave their home forever, she takes that rhinoceros seal, a precious family heirloom passed down from Atani. But instead of taking it with her, she buries it in a little clay pot under the floor of her house. It was a prayer, maybe, a hope that one day her family might come back when the rains returned. And right there it waited for 4,000 years, until Dr. Sharma's trowel finally found it. And that brings us right back to today. Dr. Sharma stands at the edge of these ancient ruins, holding a replica of that very seal. And she realizes the Harappans didn't just vanish into thin air. Their story didn't end. It just transformed. I mean, their DNA is flowing through the veins of hundreds of millions of people all across South Asia today. And their culture? It echoes in these subtle but really powerful ways, like the way women in many villages still wear their arms full of bangles, a direct echo of that famous dancing girl statue found at another Indus city. Or think about the famous Pashupati seal, which shows a figure sitting in a posture that is almost identical to modern yoga poses. You see, the Harappans didn't die out. They seeded the cultural foundations of an entire subcontinent. Their legacy is all around us, often hidden in plain sight. And this is where their story becomes a really chilling warning for us. The Harappans were brilliant. They were master engineers. They built this peaceful, prosperous society that had mastered urban planning and public health. But when the climate changed, none of that was enough to save them. They were completely, totally at the mercy of their environment, which, of course, forces us to ask a very uncomfortable question about our own civilization. With all our skyscrapers and our internet and our own rapidly changing climate, the Harappans might not have left us a Rosetta Stone to read their script, but they did leave us something else. They left us the ruins of their world, a clear, profound message written in baked brick and dry riverbeds. It's a warning that no civilization, no matter how advanced it thinks it is immune to a planet in flux. The message is there. It's just up to us to read it.
Please like and subscribe.